Ladies and gentlemen, passionate fans of the beautiful game, it is my honor to introduce a true legend of American soccer. I'm here with David Dorico, a New Jersey native. David is a former captain of the U.S. men's national team and a trailblazer in U.S. club soccer in the 1970s. He's graced the field and faced off against some of the sport's most iconic figures, including Pelé and Franz Beckenbauer. As a passionate advocate for soccer well before it gained popularity in the States, David has always been at the forefront of innovation and has tirelessly worked to connect new generations to the sport. Today, we're privileged to hear his unique insights and stories, delving deep into the evolution of soccer in America, the shifting dynamics of player treatment over the decades, and his vision for the beautiful game and its future. So please join me in welcoming a great player and an even greater man, David Dorico. How are you, David?
Anthony, it's just an absolute honor to be here, and especially after last night when with Tim Howard being inducted into the Hall of Fame. He's from New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey. And Francisco Marcos also inducted into the Hall of Fame. We met at the Hartwick reception put on by Rudy Pena and Kathy Weeks from Hartwick, and it was unbelievable. It was like being in soccer heaven, because Coach Al Miller, the first American coach to win the North American Soccer League championship with the Philadelphia Adams in 1973. He was my coach at Hartwick, and then he went to the Philadelphia Adams. And you have Bobby Smith, Hall of Fame, Bobby Rigby, Barry Bartow, Manfred Shellscheit, George O'Neill, all these extraordinary people. Coach Al Miller was there. The president, Jim Mullen, he was there. Francisco Marcos. I mean, some of the greatest people. Eddie Austin from Hartwick. We grew up together playing in the what we call the courts in Harrison. And
That's
after
awesome.
60 years later, we're still brothers and soccer goombas, as we say, and sharing stories that just brilliant. It was so. I'm absolutely delighted to be here.
Awesome. I love that. And yeah, what a great moment last night. I saw some of Tim Howard's speech too, and how he was like, if Manchester United is the largest club in the world, Everton's the greatest. And it's great to see, how a player can have that, the love for a club and the game like that as well. And so you, David, an incredible story that you have. I'd love to take you to go back to Jersey, right? Like you mentioned, you guys were
Yes.
playing in Jersey where it all started. Take us back to the early days of David Dorico, and how you got into soccer, and how take us through that journey of getting to a pro.
Absolutely. I was born in Newark in St. Michael's Hospital. We moved from Newark to Harrison, to the Harrison Gardens, a project. People call it the ghetto. And 8 kids, 9 children, eight living. And we lived in this 2-story projects. And I was explaining to Eddie last night, we had the Kerns underneath us, had 10 plus mother and father, 12. Us, 8 and 1. The all days, literally less than 5 yards away on this side of the building, 11 and 2. And the Ferreras, they had, like only 3. They were lightweight. So within 10 yards of each other, you have almost 50 children. And so despite, the economic hardships, like my parents were divorced, government housing, welfare, food stamps. My mother had 3 jobs. My mother went back and got her high school equivalency. She's my hero. And she got her interior design degree, traveled all over the world. So with, it takes a community, it takes a village. That's exactly, we didn't realize it at the time. You don't have the proper shoes and clothing and food and this and that, soccer balls. So that's part of my journey. And I have three brothers. Michael is the oldest brother, my brother Anthony, my brother Tommy. So I had them to follow, and then I had all my buddies.
Yeah.
And so we played soccer literally every day, hours and hours and hours. And it was called the Circle. We played in there, and it was king of the courts. It's king of the circle. Whoever won stayed on. So
Yeah.
you were king of the mountain. Everybody, every single day was there, and they wanted to knock you off, and you wanted to stay forever. And the only time you went is when your mother called you and said, "Hey, get in here before the lights, go down, or get in here for dinner." And that's it. And so when I grew up, I watched Pelé on TV, the English in the 1966 World Cup, black and white, watching the English team beat Germany. One of the gentlemen who scored a hat trick, now he's Sir Jeff Hurst, was my teammate in Seattle, the only one to score a hat trick in the final. Prior to that, they also showed the game of Pelé with Brazil playing against Portugal, and they literally kicked him out of the tournament. I mean, they had an English referee.
Wow.
Right? And so they didn't want, and Brazil had won the World Cup in 58 and 62. So they didn't want them to win 3 in a row, the first and only one to win 3 in a row. So when they kicked Pelé, I mean, literally viciously kicked him out of the tournament.
Damn.
Pelé said, and they carried him off. Pelé said, "I'm never going to play in the World Cup." And my dreams were devastated. But I said, I'm going to play against Pelé someday. So for 9 years, I did training off the wall. Pick a brick, hit it as hard as you can, control, skill, thinking ahead, vision, all this stuff. 9 years. And Anthony, 9 years later, I'm marking Pelé in Seattle.
Wow. Wait. So you mean to tell me you didn't go to some fancy academy that cost thousands of dollars in order to do this? Is that what I'm hearing, David? Is that it was you and your buddies and a brick wall and dedication and passion, right? That got you there?
And here's the genius. The wall was my best friend as a trainer. It never went away. It never didn't show up. It always gave me the ball back. And it was up to me and my passion and my vision and my dreams. So having a dream and then seeing that dream fulfilled. And then I'm marking Pelé in Seattle, and I had this spiritual experience. And literally the sky opened up, and this voice says to me, "What is making Pelé a genius?" Now, I don't talk like that. Nobody from Jersey talks like that. I realized it was my sister, Elizabeth. She passed away in a bathtub by accident when she was 7 months old. So she was my guardian angel. So that voice sent me on this passion quest of what made Pelé a genius, and then how to put that in a formula. So now you could have Genius Soccer America. You could have Genius Soccer, I'm a Man U guy and a Celtic guy for 50 years.
Yeah.
And so how do you have a Genius Soccer Manchester United, Genius Soccer Celtic, Genius Soccer Red Bull, FC Dallas, Seattle Sounders, whoever? And the idea is to take all those components and now put together what we call the Genius Soccer International Academy ecosystem, your own website, your own ways to promote players, educate them, get them the best training, scholarships. So, because that's what I was doing. I was on the soccer hamster wheel. I was running fast, going nowhere. I said, I got to get off this. I jumped off, didn't die. Somebody else jumped on. I went to the top of the mountain. I took a 30,000-foot view, and I said, "What's going on with soccer?" It's this
Mm,
extraordinary, passionate group, but it's working on inertia. There's no leaders. There's no visionaries. There is no systems in place for tracking players' performance. All of that, player
yeah.
events. So our objective to provide that solution is to create a one-stop soccer cultural community. So have directory listings for
Yeah.
every single club, every camp, every tournament, every foundation, every school. So now you can find people and then provide a whole series of tools to empower them to create a team,
Yeah.
incorporate a team, trademark a team, an indoor facilities, all of that, tournaments. So
Yeah.
now you'll see it in English and you'll see it in local language. So we have a digital fundraising magazine platform that now for Football Club Group
Incredible.
will be able to see that. They'll see all the members, what they do, how we can help them, how they can help us.
That's awesome. And so that's incredible. And so I love that. And so let's dive now. And I imagine like you're talking about these struggles of the evolution of US soccer, right? Because in the 1970s, when you were then you made it right now, you made it to being a pro. You fulfilled that dream. Now I'd love for you to describe a bit of that dream to us, right? Because like the positives and the negatives, right? Because as you said, especially back then in the 70s, the attention on soccer is not what it is now in 2024. And so I imagine there were a lot of hurdles that you as players, and even the organization faced back then. So I'd love for you to describe a little more of your experience as a player in such an early time in US soccer and what that was actually like as a player.
It's a great question. Um, Eddie Austin and I were talking about last night. Hugh O'Neill, Shug O'Neill. Eddie's parents from Scotland came to Carney. Hugh O'Neill's family came from uh, Glasgow, Carney. Shug's father helped start the Carney Soccer Recreational League. He
Mm,
helped start the Celtic Supporters Club, the Carney Scots. So back then, the model was moms and dads who loved their team would, it was usually around a bar because they slaved in the foundries and in the, some of the harshest jobs. But afterwards, they came to the bar, they met with everybody, they would coach, they would
mm.
give up their time for free to coach us. We
Wow.
couldn't afford a car to drive around to go to this place, that place. We couldn't afford a bus. We couldn't afford anything. We were lucky to have our shoes and a bike. And so they would get us all together and get the best players from Harrison, Kearney, East Newark, that whole area. And it was, in our case, it was essentially one or two teams from a whole area.
Mm,
Now you have a million teams and it's very diluted. But the dream that I had when I was, I don't know, 7, 8 years old and watching Pelé, my imagination and my dream is I'm going to be marking Pelé someday.
right.
And 9 years later, that dream came true. And they're talking about 10,000 hours. Oh my God, we did it 10,000 hours in a year. You
So
understand?
what was the feeling when you actually got that first contract to play professionally?
It
Can you
was,
describe that moment?
was, it was, it was a lifelong dream achieved, and to pay honor and homage to all the people that gave what they gave. And that's why I'm a social entrepreneur, and it's all about giving back. Because when I wore the shirt and especially when I wore the shirt of the United States team and was the captain. Oh my gosh. It I in my mind I was running the movies and the memories and all the people that helped me and all the people that helped me that I didn't even know were helping me.
Yeah.
Talk about David DeRico, he's going to play here, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. So
Mm.
when I was standing as a captain of the national team, they were playing the national anthem. Oh my, the pride,
Mm.
the tears, the pride, the emotion, the being able to achieve it. And then that's all brilliant, but you got to live up to it. You have to
Mm.
perform every day in training. People looking up to you, saying, "Oh, do you sleep at a soccer ball?" I said, "Absolutely. I dream, I sleep, I get up in the morning, brush my teeth, do this, do that, go to school, take the ball with me at the lunch break, after school, going to meet the guys." I mean,
That's amazing. So that U.S. captain, you mentioned being the U.S. men's national team captain, and of course, any football player, soccer player, we the dream of that is the pinnacle, right? Is being able to for many of us, it's of course playing for clubs is great, but being able to represent your country and then also lead that team is something very few people can say they've done, but many people can say they've dreamed of having that moment. Talk about that responsibility at such an early time in U.S. soccer as well, when you guys probably didn't have the resources that the captain now has, and you kind of help set that groundwork. What was some of that groundwork, and what was some of those hurdles that you, as when you were leading as the captain then, you couldn't imagine some of these guys now having to, do some of those same hurdles, based on the difference of resources and system that exists now.
when I had a chance to join the Cosmos 3 different times. Pelé, Carlos Alberto, Franz Beckenbauer, all these geniuses, Bogicevic, unbelievable geniuses, some of the best American players. And by the way, a lot of people didn't know that. New York Cosmos identified and utilized American players.
Mm.
Shep Messing, Werner Roth, uh, Gary Etherington, Freddie Gugurev, Boris Bandolf. I mean, these were Santiago Formoso. All these guys were Americans.
Mm.
And so the Cosmos, everybody said, "Oh, they're an international team." Absolutely. But they also brought Daryl G. All these amazing people
Mm.
were part of that team. And so for me, getting elected to do that was such a beautiful honor. It
Mm.
wasn't fear. It wasn't, "Oh my gosh, am I going to screw up?" No way. It was all about the love. It was all about the passion. It was all about giving back. It was all about recognition of my
Mm.
mother and my brothers and sisters and all the families, all the coaches in high school and college. Jim Lennox at Mitchell College in New London, Connecticut, Al Miller at Hartwick College. 50, 60 years later, I'm standing next to Coach Miller. I'm videotaping the whole thing and getting photographs because in my age, I'm 71. There's a lot of people facing a lot of health challenges. They're passing away, dementia, Alzheimer's, CTE, all this stuff, diabetes, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's crucial for us to work together to, and this is one of my love passion projects, is to create a union
Mm.
for former players, current players, sharing best practices, providing job skills, emotional skills, all of that, scholarships. We,
Yeah.
I'm part of the group called Sports Philanthropy Network. Roy
Hmm.
Kessel, former agent, also an attorney, him and Kayla, they have built 20 chapters. They want to expand to 40 chapters. And what it is, it's taking current and former athletes, helping them transition into the real world, then tying them into the underserved community to teach financial literacy, teach NIL for good, name, image, and likeness. Now, when I played, you didn't make any money from your image. Now they can. Kids are being paid $5,000 to make a college visit. They're making $1 million a year. Caitlin Clark, oh my gosh, what she's doing. All these extraordinary people. And then you have people like Michelle Akers, who, for me, a giant, a goat for women's soccer, the queen. For me, her and Pelé are the greatest ever. And they didn't have any of that. So how do we take old school love, family, respect, being successful, overcoming adversity, mentorship, giving back? That's old school. Take those principles, bring them into new school, the new people, the new technologies. Yeah. Have them work together. And then cool school is helping people be the best version of themselves, giving back, helping save the planet. So by bringing everybody together, and this is Walter Chisowitz was our national team coach, originally from the Ukraine, came over to Philadelphia, where there's a lot of Ukrainians, Philadelphia Ukrainian club. Him and his brothers played there, national team coaching director, and also the coaching school. He built and built a team where our generation went out individually. We were pioneers. So now we're revisiting that team concept. How could we work together to help FCG? How could we help this college? How could we? So the idea about identifying the best people, best practices, and build this trusted network. It's going to be membership only. So it's going to be an incredible honor to be a part of this group. And so now when we reach out to people at FCG, what is football group? Who are they? Who are the people involved? Right? What's their purpose? What can I do to be involved in it? How can you help my company? And how can my company help you? So that's why with this directory of digital fundraising magazines, now you're going to see Anthony, you're going to see David, where I grew up, who I played with, who I played against, what am I doing now, and most importantly, what can I and my company and our team do for you and your group? So now, instead of going to a game and you have no idea the person you're sitting next to, you're going to know, hey, Bubba, I just pulled up your profile and realized that you have a marketing agency, you sell tires, you do solar roofing, you do a car. And then when people buy from within the group, a percentage goes back to their nonprofit.
It's an interesting concept. I love that. And then that's the beauty of the member-owned model, right? Is that we are this network, and I appreciate you even giving Football Club Group the shout out too. So it's a wonderful mission that we're all on together, right? And having you as a member and a sporting and business advisor has been incredible. All of these ideas. I love Cool School. I love the concept of that, and it brings me to the next question, because part of the reason, as you alluded to as well, of why Football Club Group even got started is because of how many of us fans have seen the state of modern soccer, modern football, but soccer specifically also in America, in the States. And also reflecting on ownership as well. And so I'm curious some of your thoughts on that side of things, on ownership and ownership models. And I know you and I were having a conversation earlier about Americans, going overseas to buy clubs versus in America. And so as an American who has done so much work to bring soccer to where it is, in this country. I'd love for you to reflect a bit on that, on the state of ownership, the MLS and other things like that, and promotion relegation, if you'd like to jump into that too.
Absolutely, Anthony. One of the things about FCG, and one of the things about our project, and the one key, one of the biggest, and I'm going to use the word gift from COVID, was it showed how important we are as individuals, family, nations, people dying, being affected. But it also showed, and how precious that is, who we are, who God is, why we're on the earth, what are our goals, our missions, what about giving back, all of that. But one of the critical gifts was when there's nobody in the stands. Soccer has no heart, no soul. So we have a ticketing platform called im360sportstravel.com. We sell tickets to 65,000 events a year in the top European, US soccer, all major US sports, F1 and concerts, United States, Canada, and Europe. We're going to be selling tickets to the 2026 World Cup in America, Canada, and Mexico. So what happened 2 years, we can't sell tickets. Now we're coming back in. So we want to be able to take those ticketing platforms. In the case, I'm a Man U, as you can see here, for more than 50, 60 years. And they have 250 fan clubs all over the world. We want to do models, templates, to make that community, link it into the billion fans that Manchester United have, more than 1 billion. Because the key point here is Manchester United doesn't know David DeRico. Right. They don't know who I am. They don't know why I love Man U. Who I played against Georgie Best, their GOAT, more than 20 times. Dennis Violet, who survived the 1958 plane crash in Munich, was my coach in the NASL, North American Soccer League, New England T-Men. He was the assistant coach. Noel Cantwell, the Irishman, who played at West Ham, they acquired him, and he was one of the most important players for Manchester United after that rebuild. Dennis Violet's daughter does documentary. She was a British champion in tennis. She did a documentary about Althea Gibson, one of the greatest African American. Awesome. And she did one about her father, the United Man, and she just completed the NASL, the rise and fall of the NASL, where Bobby Smith, all these great guys, like I'm in there, maybe our whole group, maybe 15 to 20%, to build that history and now make that available through our digital fundraising magazines, sponsored through sponsorships. Now we could go to every school, every club, every futsal, every beach soccer, every indoor, be able to provide the resources about the history. So if a writer wants to know about FCG, our motto is one click tells the whole story. You could have 10,000 pages about FCG, about the company, about this, about that. So by us giving the fans a voice and a vote, this is going to completely change the dynamic. Right now, all the billionaires that are, and the movie stars that are, the guys at Wrexham and this and that, they're all taking equity positions. What they don't understand is the club belongs to the people. They're stewards. They're there to continue and improve and help people in the community that have somebody that's sick, has cerebral palsy, has, senior citizen help
Mm.
What about all the players that have Alzheimer's and dementia and have died? What about them? What about their
Right.
families?
Especially
So,
for these historic clubs, exactly, that
oh my
have these
God.
players.
I mean,
Exactly.
Jimmy
And I will,
Gabriel.
and it's interesting because you know, and you'd say that the word steward is an important word here too, because you know, while we say we want to buy and own a club, it is so important to remember that we are all just stewards of the club, right? And
Yeah.
we are just we so I'm so glad that you used that word and you brought that up as well. And it's so interesting to see how the different incentives of different owners. And I will say I'm pleasantly surprised with what Ryan Reynolds and has been doing with Wrexham and Rob, and how they've sort of taken a little bit more of that community approach than some of these other you know, American billionaire owners that have just gone in and don't even bother sort of understanding any of the culture, you know, or anything that has to do with the club or the fans, sort of try to revamp the whole thing, raise ticket prices. I remember, you know, with Liverpool, there's lots of, when those American owners went in there was a lot of controversy because they just raised the ticket prices to the stadium and almost priced out so many of the fans that had been going for 40 years. So I think it is so important, you know, that, and I appreciate you just even mentioning that concept of how it really is something, you know, that's our mantra, right? Football belongs to the people, not to, you know, these individual billionaires or corporations. Even worse than an individual billionaire, I think. And I'm curious your thought about this too, is that these facts that these investment firms are also now going up and buying clubs,
Oh,
because
it's
their only incentive as an investment firm is profit, right? And so even their
absolutely.
intent going into it, I'm just so curious your thoughts on that, as an, you know, the investment
Well,
firms buying up clubs as well.
it's not only that, it's really starting at the top with FIFA and then the United States Soccer Federation, because you
Mm,
had you had the Chelsea owner. You know, he's hand in glove with Putin, and he's laundering money and running it through the club. Then the American owner takes over Bully, and this guy thinks he's going to be a bull in a china shop and saying, "I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to recommend this." All of a sudden, he realized that he needs to step back and be a steward and hire the people that are experts, that love it and know it and are brilliant at it. And now he's learning that. Philip Anschutz for Arsenal, he had to learn that, you know, he just couldn't come in and buy Arsenal. You had to have brilliant people. Now look at Arsenal. They have a, even though I'm a Man U guy for forever and will always be until I
yeah.
pass. And but if I'm pulling for Arsenal, why? Because of what Arsene Wenger did for soccer. Here's a guy that never played pro, from France, coached in Japan, came to Arsenal. He changed the whole environment. He made it, talk about genius soccer
Mm,
international and Arsenal. Arsene Wenger for me, and Sir Alex Ferguson for Manchester United, Mourinho. All of a sudden, the and this is what's crucial to me: the entertainment. For me, there should be three requirements.
mm,
Stadium is packed. People are standing and singing the whole game.
mm,
And how do you win the game? With incredible genius and the OMG moment, the oh my God moment, when that kid is 14, 15, 16 years old and could come out like Pelé was 16, going to be 17, scored 6 goals in a World Cup run in 1958, some of the greatest goals you've ever seen in your life, and he was 17 years old. The
mm,
focus on taking the seniors and taking that wisdom, remember old school, and then working together with the new young parents and people and players and coaches, and then create a standardized testing platform to know speed, turning, skill,
mm,
tactics, patterns, nutrition, mental health, job training, mentorship. So when I stepped back, I asked myself, how would Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, how would they approach it? And I saw creating a one-stop soccer community where you can find every resource.
Mm.
You get your own website, you get your own free directory listing, then you can get your own website, you could get an academy management software, because if your child, if you are from Idaho, anywhere, Africa, Lagos, this place, that place, the Caribbean, if you're from there, you're limited by time, space, coaching, competition, knowing what the standards are, how to prepare your child in all different ways. Remember, best version of yourself. How do you help them get to college? How do you help them get to pro, to national team? How do you give them mentorship? So by having what I call the McDonaldization, we're doing a project with a group that has 200 indoor facilities. We're going to link them all together. Video advertising boards on each of all the walls, because the biggest pain point for indoor facilities is sponsorship. Yeah. So now FCG, I'm 360 Sports Travel, our ticketing, any company can advertise on that board, and you could have thousands of advertisers. You could do it for the schools. And now we're taking best, and this is what I'm all about, taking best practices and build the model. So what's the best practice from Europe, South America, all over the world? Find the best kids. They don't pay. They go into the academy. Well, the United States, the majority of it is pay for play. So can you imagine making this available where we identify the best players, coaches, parents, this and that, promote them, show them what the standards are, and now if the kid in Idaho scores, he's 7 years old and he's scoring 10 goals a game, how do you compare with a group like we work with out of Brazil? They have 40 million fans in their network, and we're doing over-the-top television. In other words, no more cable, everything driven to the cell phone. We have 40 million fans. 1 million of them have signed up paying $30 a month.
Wow.
That's 30 million a month to have their own TV channel. And by 12, that's 360 million gross. So could you imagine football group as a consultancy to say, this is what we can do for you. This is what we can, in your language. Oh, you want to learn English? You want us to help you promote your players? Now the coaching content from these clubs, the women, the academy. And for me, what we're doing with the men to start with is brilliant. But while we're planning, the next step has to be the women, because number one, right now, I think they're the flame keepers for the spiritual and positive side for soccer. No dying, no cursing, no arguing, no going and crowding the referee, no grabbing the hamstring, I mean,
no, I appreciate you saying that and giving the shout out to that as well. For anybody that doesn't know out there that's listening, football club group, while our plans are to acquire a historic men's club, we are reserving a portion of our fundraise to immediately jumpstart a women's squad for our club. And we envision a future where both our men's and women's squad are competing to get up to the Champions League and compete at the highest level, excellence on and off the field, for both squads. So I like what you said there too about kind of like the flame keepers of that good side of soccer. I went to the Gotham FC home opener this season, out in Jersey. They're the New York, New Jersey team, but they play in Jersey. So I was out in your neck of the woods over there. And it was awesome. I mean, the level of competition is just at such a high level now too, because of the money that's finally been getting invested in the young girls development as well, that we're seeing that the women's game is just as explosive as the men's game right now. And so it's such an exciting part of what we're doing here at FCG. So thank you for highlighting that too, and for
Think
giving
about
that
it. Mia Hamm has the largest building on the Nike campus. She's on the Barcelona board. She married Garcia Parra, the baseball player.
Mhm.
She is one of the primary investors in Angel FC, which went from $2 million valuation to over $1 billion in 2 years. So the women's game to get to the Champions League is much more accessible because more than 50% of the people in the world are women. And the other thing is, I just met a lady last night at Hartwick at the gentleman does litigation for sports, buildings and things and bridges and this and that. She was on the pool for the national team. She was in the Air Force, I think it was. She also, her resume is unbelievable. She does this compression healing project. Okay.
Mm.
It's perfect for indoor facilities. It's perfect for camps. So how do we help her take her project, get it into this group that we're working with, 200 indoor facilities.
Mm.
Now you have the video advertising boards. You could have thousands of sponsors. Now everybody benefits. The indoor owner, the association, the people that play there, they can feature their business. They can get their own website. They can sponsor a youth team that's underserved. We set up futsal leagues. And see, what does that have to do with FCG? Because FCG, to me, is the pilot, so that all these brilliant ideas get worked out. Now somebody does something brilliant in Jersey, in Seattle, in Dallas, anywhere. We share best practices.
Cool. No, I love that.
Yeah, you share best practices. Now I don't have to go through the pain of losing my business, a mobile app, of this or that. Okay, you got a mobile app. That's great. Who's using it? Why are they using it? Is it part of a measurement system? They don't get it. If it's a standalone, okay, you measure how much time your kid played, do this, do that, do this. But now you're going to get compared. What is your tactical IQ? Now you're going to know what a player knows, what they don't know, and what they need to know.
Very cool idea.
Kids' tactical IQ. Now the kids on the team that from 13 down to 18, they may be really smart to help the coach communicate to the great players that really can't get the concept. Every member, every person, every member is valuable. Every family member, every club. So the old model, the old non-functioning, I want to be the king of the world, I want to kill you. No, share best practices, because if everybody improves, then I get better. Why? Because I'm playing against you, because you're keeping the ball on the ground like you're supposed to. You're contributing to Genius Soccer America. You're doing wall passes. You're doing curling runs, L runs. What are these things?
No, I love that.
Yes.
And I think that I feel like we're all like it allows us to, it's a change in mentality, like you said. I feel like the words I've been hearing, especially from my Gen Z friends, is that it's like it's operating out of abundance instead of operating out of scarcity, right? And so the scarcity model is like, I have to be king, I have to make every decision, it's all got to be me and all the power. And the abundance mentality being that there's more than enough for everybody if we all work together, right? And if we have this open source model, then there will be enough food to go around. There'll be enough joy to go around, and we can compete with each other on the pitch, right? We don't have to worry about competing so much in these other aspects. And football shouldn't be about business and making just profits and soaking the game for what it's worth. It should be about bringing joy to more people, the thrill and the excitement on the pitch. And as we come to the end now of this hour that we've spent with David Dorico, I want to give you one more opportunity now, David, just to share a heartwarming football story from your career. So any of the stories that you have and experiences that you'd like to share that can kind of leave our listeners with a bit of inspiration, right? Something that you might find tickles the hearts of our listeners.
I mean, the first thing is I met my future wife, and I have my sons Aaron and Adam. They're 46 years old. My boys were born 3 months premature. Wow. Because I was involved in a union, so I got blackballed. Okay. Wow. And my boys almost died, and my wife almost died. And the union, which was supposed to support me and my family, turned their back on us. Okay. So my son Aaron has cerebral palsy. He had a face presentation. So he can't walk perfect, but he's a comic book author. And guess what I met last night? Mike Haas and Jay Hoffman, who are the guys that have been going maybe 30 years with the Paralympics. They were there last night at the bar, and I met some of the athletes. I met the gentleman who used to be a Paralympic soccer player, who's running that organization. And now I not only can reach out to them and help them look at the love and the passion that they're going to bring to the table, and then having someone like my son say, Aaron, would it be amazing to network with these guys to write a comic book about the soccer journey of these guys, coloring books, all that. So that and the fact being of the experience with Pelé, the spiritual, what is making Pelé a genius. My goal is for the United States to win the World Cup in 2026 and win it with Genius Soccer America. Okay, that is, and so now we're reaching out through you, football group, Natalie, with her union app with 1 million clients. That's perfect for what we want to do. Why? Because by giving people a voice, by reaching out, I mean, that to me, you have to have, for me, you have to have something actionable. So with our digital fundraising magazines, you're going to click on it, you say, I love that, I want one. It's going to help my group. So we're taking this as social entrepreneurs, because you could have all the money and the power in the world, but if you can't save the planet and the water and the air and war, I feel that we are an important lever to make it go. As you said, I love this, work from abundance. That's what we came to the earth. That's who we are. That's who our connection to God and the angels and all these people work from abundance. Because the more you work from that, the more money you get, the more positive you get, the more you now can share with others.
Exactly.
So that was a beautiful statement, Anthony.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so I think that's the perfect thing for us to close this amazing conversation with David Dorico, legendary man and soccer player. Remember, he was the U.S. men's national team captain and has seen some of the craziest evolution over the decades. And still, as you can see, is very, very active in so many things, still going and still with his heart trying to bring the best out of both US soccer and global soccer. So I just want to take an opportunity to thank you for the time today, David, and this incredible conversation. And since it is a Sunday that we're recording this, I hope you have the rest of an amazing Sunday. Maybe catch some more of the soccer games if there's any left to play today. Thank you, David, for the great convo.
Well, virtual hug, Anthony, and send the love. Just like you send the love crystal in the water, it goes out and it comes back. So have a blessed day, and I really look forward to working with you. We've done so much so quickly, and that now is going to build, and all of a sudden people are going to see what a real soccer club is about honoring the fans, involving the fans, getting them financial, emotional support. And that's never ever happened. It's all about the owners and the guys on the inside and taking all the revenue, and then the fans are suffering, where we're saying to them, hey, you be a part of our project or utilize our projects for your projects. It's going to help you tremendously. So you have a blessed day and have a beautiful dinner with your mom and dad. Get those
Thank you.
meatballs, get the manacati.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. Buon pranzo. Buon pranzo. See you later, David.
Take care. Take care, Anthony. Thank you. God bless.